Hi, I'm Joni Patry, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Well, today I'm going to talk about if you have your moon in Taurus. Now, if you have your moon in Taurus, there are three nakshatras that I'm going to talk about that are within the sign of Taurus. But let's talk generally about what the moon is and what it means to be in the sign of Taurus. So Taurus is an earth sign. So people with the moon in Taurus are generally pretty practical. They're pretty down to earth. It's called salt of the earth. And they're realistic about material things. They're concerned about how to make money, how to be secure financially, and how to make it in this world through work and get accustomed to that. Taurus is a very sweet, kind sign because it's ruled by Venus. Venus is the sign that deals with love, affection, and to procreate, because that's what we're drawn to each other initially to, well, not initially, but that's the whole law of attraction, why we're drawn together. So Venus is also being rulership of Taurus, makes people with the moon in Taurus highly creative. They love to create. They're many times into the arts, and because it's an earth sign and it's earthy, they love things dealing with plants, with growing things, with fertility, and to grow plants and foods and vegetables. And they're very much into anything that deals with the senses, such as eating foods, enjoying the good life. They're into taste, smells, sensuality, sexuality. This is the sign of Taurus. And being ruled by Venus is makes them very attuned to the arts and beauty and creativity. This is all this Venus-ruled sign can deal with. But let's talk more specifically, because there's certain degrees within the sign of Taurus that are going to emit a different energy. And you wonder, well, his moon's in Taurus, why is he so different? Because of the nakshatras. Now, of course, there's further deeper divisions that can even indicate the differences within degrees, such as there's 9 navamshas to a sign, and each navamsha is ruled by a planet. So those are smaller degrees of 3 degrees, 20 minutes that you'll have even a smaller association with a different meaning. And even when you take the nakshatras and you divide them up into 4 padas, each pada is 3 degrees, 20 minutes. So there's all these smaller groupings that are going to make it even more specific and different. But looking at the navamshas, looking at the padas, that's more subtle. I'm going to look at the bigger framework of things. And there's so many references to the nakshatras within these signs that are going to give deep, deep, deep meaning. And I love that I'm covering the moon, because wherever your natal moon is in your chart is going to be what dasha you start your whole life cycle out in. So this is important too. So I'm going to talk about that as well. So let's talk about if your moon is from 0 degrees to 10 degrees of Taurus, then this means that your moon is in Taurus, but the nakshatra it's in is Kritika. Now there was the last degrees of Aries that started the nakshatra Kritika. Remember, each nakshatra is 13 degrees, 20 minutes. And these portions of the zodiac are relative to the fixed stars that are in that portion. They give great and depth and meaning to these signs. So talking about if your moon is in The first 10 degrees of Taurus, the first 10 degrees, it's going to be in Kritika. Kritika's symbol is a knife. It's sharp, it's cutting, but it's in the sign of Taurus, which softens it somewhat and makes the individual much more protective and caring, rather than when it's in Aries, it's going to be sharper and more intense, more cutting. Cut through the crap, get to the point. Still, we have that energy. And it can be a very warlike nakshatra, but Taurus softens it considerably. And talking about that softening effect, there's just this more acute sensual quality to a moon being in Taurus. But there are certain degrees that are going to really come out in a different way. And that is if your moon is anywhere between 2 to 3 degrees of Taurus, then it is conjunct the fixed star Agul, which is one of the worst stars. I gotta tell you. Now, I know a lot of people that are born around the time that they have this. And I'll tell you, they can simply be self-destructive at times. Watch that quality if you have your moon around 2 to 3 degrees of Taurus. You can be somewhat destructive. A ghoul can deal with self-destruction and sometimes around addictive personality traits. Watch that, because they tend to want to hurt and destroy themselves. And that's what happens. So this is just that star that can cause this type of reaction. Of course, we all have free will and we can change however we are born and what we express. We have the ability to change that through awareness. Now, another thing is about this portion of the zodiac being Taurus but Kritika, people can be very sarcastic. This is something that, they're funny, but sarcasm can sometimes be hurtful. You gotta watch how you express your words and your feelings towards others. When you've got this nakshatra, sarcasm is a way of getting back at people, and that's not what you want to do. The moon is how we feel, so sometimes this is your way of striking back when you feel hurt, and this is something that has to be checked and watched. But Kritika has that determination. It's ruled by the sun. And the sun is powerful. The sun is the direct focus of an individual to do something that others would be too afraid to do. So this gives Taurus, which is soft and sometimes pulling back and not being so assertive. This portion of Taurus is very assertive, being in Kritika, and I think that is a good quality, to be able to assert yourself, to be strong about your beliefs, to cut to the meat of the matter and focus. This is an extremely focused nakshatra. So continuing on, if you have a moon in Taurus, but your moon sits around 10 degrees to 23 degrees 20 minutes of the sign of Taurus, so it's pretty much smack dab in the middle of the sign, then your nakshatra is Rohini. And one thing I forgot to mention, don't forget that the moon is exalted in the sign of Taurus. So this is all powerful, that you have an exalted moon, plus I believe the moon loves to be in the nakshatra Rohini. Rohini actually means the red one, because it's talking about the red star. Aldebaran that's in this nakshatra, Aldebaran is the eye of the bull, the red eye of the bull. So that's why it's called the red one. But this particular nakshatra deals so much with sensuality. It's deep connection to the senses, the sensuality of taste, of color, design, beauty. Sensuality in terms of sexuality. This is a nakshatra that's so powerful. And I always say, when you have a moon in Rohini, you are always going to be attuned to the finer things of life. So you love the finer things of life. You would rather have one of the best than 10 of the second best. Quality is important to you. That's what I say about people with the moon in Rohini. And Rohini is ruled by the moon. So therefore, that's one of the reasons why it is so strong to have a moon in Rohini, because Rohini, it's like the moon's in its own sign. It empowers that sensuality, that feeling sense, that knowing sense, because this is a nakshatra of feeling. And the moon is all about feelings. So this really sets well to be able to express the way you feel sensually and expressively. It's a beautiful, and probably it's thought to be the best placement the moon can be. And of course, if your moon is in Rohini, then you're going to start your whole life cycle out in the moon's Mahadasha. Now, I find that when people are in the moon's Mahadasha, they're subject to so much change in their life because the moon moves so fast. Things are constantly in flux, and that's what they're going to feel. Now, going back to the first 10 degrees of Taurus, where it's in Kritika, that means you would start your life cycle out in the sun's Mahadasha, depending on where the sun is. The sun is very powerful generally. The sun is spirit, it's life force. So in Kritika, you start your life out strong, healthy, and with a lot of ambition and drive. So that's the way a baby would enter into the world. So if your moon is in Taurus, but your moon is 23 degrees, 20 degrees of Taurus to the end of the sign, to 30 degrees, then you're going to have your moon in Taurus, but it's in the nakshatra Mrigashira. Mrigashira is the star of searching, trying to find answers. And with this is a very deep, penetrating nakshatra. It's ruled by Mars, so it's always on the go and it's always searching and never gives up. I always say that people with the moon here in this particular sign nakshatra, it's in Taurus, but it's in Mrigashira, because Mrigashira is going to overlap into Gemini too. So there's going to be two different Mrigashiras, one that's Taurus and one that's Gemini. But the Taurus one is going to be about searching for things of beauty, things that last, things that they can hold on and develop. And this can be spirituality, but at the same time, I find that people with this searching star, Mrigashira, are collectors. They love to collect things, and they have beautiful collections, whether it's rocks or stamps, or even if you're a woman, shoes. It's like, this is something you got to get that one more piece to complete your collection. And then once you complete your collection, whatever it may be, then the thrill is over, because it's the thrill of the search, the thrill for the hunt that they love the most. And this is a really, really strong nakshatra. I find that people with a moon in Taurus, particularly if the moon is in Rohini or in Mrigashira, they have beautiful children. And they themselves, usually with Mrigashira, they have doe-like eyes, because the symbol is the deer. And it deals with the shape eyes of a deer. You'll find that with the moon in Mrigashira. And that will mean that they start their life cycle out in Mars. And Mars is a natural malefic, so life comes with a jolt. And not only that, because Mars rules siblings, those with moon in Taurus but Mrigashira moon will probably have siblings that they struggle with early on. Why? Because Mars rules siblings, and if your moon is in Mrigashira, you start your whole life cycle out in Mars Mahadasha. So you might be second born or third born, but one way or another, you're born into a situation with siblings. This is a generality, but this gives a whole different twist and bent to that Taurus energy if you're born where you're in pretty much the last 23 degrees 20 of Taurus to the end of the sign. You're going to be very different than someone that has their moon in Rohini. But generally, the gist of the moon in Taurus is going to be someone who is soft, refined, attuned to beauty, the arts, food, sensuality, and don't forget, of all things, money. Taurus is the second sign of the zodiac relative to the second house that deals with finances and money. And the second house does deal with family. So they're family oriented and they want to take care of people, especially when it comes to finances. So that's what I get out of the moon being in Taurus. I hope you've enjoyed this dissertation. And if you would like more information on me, go to my website, which is galacticcenter.org. And if you would like to study with me Vedic astrology, I have a stellar university. Go to University of Vedic Astrology.com. Thank you.